Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for being here to my first ever Joy of Poeting on Zoom. If you have followed me before, I was doing it on Twitch as like a um, live stream, but it didn't quite work. So I'm trying it on Zoom as like an experiment to see how it goes. And I thought that it was fitting that if it's like the first one, that I would do an Abecedarian. It's like right at the top of the form list. And if you're not familiar with the Abecedarian, it's a form that utilizes the alphabet as the first letter of each line. So, kind of like an acrostic spells out a word at the beginning of each line, using a letter at the beginning of each line to spell out a word or a phrase. The Abecedarian does the same thing, but spells out the alphabet. I don't have a subject and I do it live, so I'm going to attempt an Abecedarian, but that's not to say that it's going to be a good one. So just a how to, but not necessarily how to do a good one. All right, I'm switching cameras now. Don't look at my to-do list. Ginger, you can see on here, it says create promo for Ginger on there. Okay, so Abecedarian. The tricky part with Abecedarians is the XYZ at the end. Sometimes the Q is a tricky letter. So even before I go into writing my Abecedarian, I like to have an idea of what my X word is going to be. So some people like to use the phonetic sound of X. So they do words like exit or excite or something like that. Or even I've seen it where the line before will end in a partial word, and then the last letter of that word would be the X. So, for example, um, like the line before would end in FO, and then the next letter would be X, and it would be like fox. Um, I don't like to do that personally, but that's not to say that there's any way that is wrong. There's no wrong way. In the past, I have written poems that have used X-ray, pretty standard, and then also X-Acto knife. And I had that in my poetry incubator for a long time. It was like write an Abecedarian with X-Acto knife as the X letter. um, so for this one, I was thinking about using maybe the word X-axis. Um, other words that begin with X just to have them in my mind, like xenophobia, not a really great one. I want to have more of a positive poem, but who knows? It's live, so who knows what the poem's gonna do. Xylophone. Do y'all have any other X word suggestions? It could also just be like to X out something, or I could do like X marks the spot. X marks the spot. I'm just having these handy just in case I need a little word bank. And so now I guess I'm gonna start. Abecedarian, what do I want to write about? Um, let's see, New Year, same me. Okay. For the A, let's see. I'm a fan of starting poems in a way that makes it sound like you're already started in a conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the word and. Why not? The rules are there are no rules. I make them up. And so we're here. You can't see what I'm writing. I'll make it closer. Oops. Thanks for letting me know. Is that a little bit better? If I put it too close, I'll just move it down when I move down on the paper. Is that better?
Is it
Yeah.
possible for you to share the screen and type?
Um, no, because when I write poems, I write it out.
Okay. Oh, well, that's certainly a little better. We can at least see something. You could probably get a little closer. That's getting better yet. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just move the camera down so as I go down the page.
Yeah. And then move it a little to the left because it's cut off on the left right now. That's getting better. Yes.
Okay. All
Thank you.
right, but my hand's gonna be in the way somewhat as I write, but
But yeah,
that's
but we
okay.
can still see something.
Okay. And so we're into another year. But um it's the same old me who constantly um wonders um what do I constantly wonder? And so we're into another, oh, this is supposed to be year, but it's the same old me who constantly wonders whether she'll dam up the waters within or whether she'll enjoy the moment for what it is, for what it isn't. I'm just making it up as I go along. What it doesn't have to be. I have to get to G now. Gosh, another 300 plus days of hovering, hovering what? Hovering over a, hovering over a keyboard. Okay, I have to get to I. Let's see. Hovering over a keyboard and in search of an escape button. HIJ. So in search of an escape button or just a search of, for some reason I feel pressure to be rushed, but that's not usually my process. And when I was doing it on Twitch, I feel like I took a lot longer. But now that people are actually watching, nobody actually watched me on Twitch. I feel like, oh, I have to do this fast. But oftentimes when I can't think of something, I'll just put a bracket here or just insert word later in search of an escape button or just a something to um, to I have to get to K now to um oh I'm gonna jump in, pretend that this is going to be a little bit longer, and when I go back and revise this poem, I'll insert something good there. An escape button or just a something to keep her, to keep my what? To keep her flowers watered and I used watered already. To keep her flowers, I'll change this to growing. To keep her flowers growing, and I have to get to L. To keep her flowers growing and her light. I don't want to do shining because it's too cliche. To keep her light. At least at an ember, moving from one morning to one evening to one night. Least at an ember, moving from one morning to one evening to one night. Just like all the other years, this one will move forward. I have to get to P now. We'll move forward through sunny days and pouring rain. Pouring rain. P, ABC, M, N, O, P, Q. Okay, I have to get to Q now. Forward through sunny days and pouring rain and hail. Inhale. That sticks like snow. Quiet snow. 2 and the humidity, QR, humidity of July's roaring, roaring, roaring tempests announcing, I have to get to S, announcing August isn't finished with summer just yet. I have to get to T. Let's finish with summer just yet. Let's see. Isn't it just like a new year to show up announced but uninvited when hardly a holiday decoration has been packed or I'm going to go with vacuum, but to be honest, I'm not exactly sure how to spell it. I think it's two C's, two U's. Can I get a confirmation? One C, two U's? I think there's two U's. Anyone?
It's a single C. I believe.
Okay, I can't hear. So two V's, two C's, two U's.
Definitely
Uh,
two U's.
Definitely two U's. Okay, I'll go back and change it. I'll put a little question mark here to tell me to go back and check the spelling on that.
One
When
C.
hardly a one C. Okay, thanks. Has been packed or vacuum run over fruitcake crumbs. Okay, now I have to get to W. Well, like, okay. I have to go to X now. Okay, so I have to be strategic. I was thinking about using X axis, but my poem decided to do something else. I think I'm gonna go with xylophone, even though that's kind of cliche as well to do, but I can change it later if I want. This is just an example. Okay. Well, like um, a child's overstuffed toy box. Xylophone, and what would be popping out of a child's toy box? Oh, and I have double X. Ooh, box and xylophone. Like a child's overstuffed toy box. Xylophone and slinky. Spilling out. Okay, so I just cornered myself into a metaphor or a simile rather, so I have to do something with that. Well, like a child's overstuffed toy box, xylophone and slinky spilling out. Um, hmm, uh, I don't want to do years again because I've said years too many times. I will say yes to overabundance and gluttony. I will let my zipper loosen now. Boom. Okay, so I'll read it from the top. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. And so we're into another year, but it's the same old me who constantly wonders whether she'll dam up the waters within or whether she'll enjoy the moment for what it is, for what it isn't, for what it doesn't have to be. Gosh, another 300 plus days of hovering over a keyboard and I'm going to change this. Hovering over a keyboard in search of an escape button or just something else to keep her flowers growing and her light at least at an ember, moving from one morning to one evening to one night. Just like all the other years, this one will move forward through sunny days and pouring rain and hail that sticks like snow, quiet snow too, and the humidity of July's roaring tempests, announcing August isn't finished with summer just yet. Isn't it just like a new year to show up unannounced but uninvited when hardly a holiday decoration has been packed or vacuum run over fruitcake crumbs? Well, like a child's overstuffed toy box, xylophone and slinky spilling out, I will say yes to overabundance and gluttony. I will let my zipper loosen now. Okay, I'm gonna switch my camera back. Are there questions about this form or my process or other things before I put up the poll for next week's poetic form?
I have a question. Why don't you start each line with a new sentence instead of wrapping the sentences?
It's just that's a stylistic choice. So I like to uh when I put this up onto my computer and play with it, I'll probably add a bunch of blank space in between. I like to deviate from left justified align and create variation in the visual aspect of the poem as well. So you definitely that's definitely an option to start each line with a new sentence. That'll be more challenging with X if you don't do it phonetically, and also to keep within the theme. Um, yeah, so I think it's just a stylistic choice. It's not necessarily like this is how you have to do it. You're anybody's welcome to do it that way as well, or to start it on a phrase, not necessarily the sentence, but like where the punctuation marks is definitely an option. Any other questions?
I just want to say, as somebody who gets very in my head about writing, it's so cool to watch you write a poem live, from start to finish. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Ginger. It is a little bit nerve-wracking. I did take Benadryl before this so that I wouldn't be too hyper so I could go to bed after. But during the Twitch lives, I always felt like, oh my gosh, what if nothing comes and I can't write a poem? But something always comes. If you're forced to, it comes out. And I learned to just trust the process, and the same thing happened. And I think also giving myself permission to write a crappy poem is very helpful. That if nobody's expecting, Ada Limone's The Raincoat over here, then I'm doing just fine. Okay, I'm going to throw up the poll. So everybody who's here gets to participate in what poetic form we do next week. So you can just type it in, whatever you're interested in. And then if there's a tie, I'm going to throw it up on my socials to have people vote. I'm kind of excited. It'll be a surprise for everybody. Will I have to look it up? I do have a running list in my Excel sheet. I'm not quite to 365, but my goal is to get to 365 forms and then create like a one a day book of some sort. I'm collaborating on it with a poetry friend of mine. All right, I'm going to do for just a few more seconds. So if you haven't put in your request, you have about 10 seconds to do it. I see hi bun in the chat. I'll count that and end poll. Few details. All right. So, Shulamit, did you participate in the poll or no?
She
because
put it
there
in the
was one
chat.
I thought I
one.
did, but it disappeared, so I wasn't sure. That's why I
Okay,
put
because
it in the
Hi Bun
chat.
is in there, so I didn't
Okay.
know if that meant there
That
was
must have been me.
two. Okay. All right. Well, so the contenders that are gonna go up on socials, because there's a 5-way tie, are sonnet, blackout poem, ekphrasis, which I do love ekphrasis, Hi Bun, and duplex. So those 5 are going to go up on my socials, and I'll give people an opportunity to vote. And whatever the winner is, I'll announce it and I'll post that on my social. So similar to the graphic that you saw at the beginning of this session that said Abecedarian, it'll announce what the form is for next week. And that's all I got for you folks. So thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here for my very first one. I was kind of worried that nobody would come. So I'm happy that you were here. And if you liked it, then save this link. It'll be the same link for next week, and you can just join in every week. And I'll send out a reminder as well so that you have the link to share, to save, and also share privately. Please don't post the link publicly where people can come and Zoom bomb and things like that. Thank you so much and have a great night. Bye.
Thank you and Happy New Year. Thank you for doing
Thank
this.
you. Thank you. Happy New Year. Bye.